We started the business over 35 years ago. A lot has changed over the years, but one thing still remains the same.
Our passion for fixing cars. With a team of over 12 men and women, they work day in and day out to provide us the best quality service possible.
From light and heavy duty vehicle repairs and maintenance work,
diagnostics and racing transmissions,
performance parts and Jeep upgrades,
automotive detailing,
used car sales,
and towing through our sister company, AC Towing.
Our team has the knowledge and understanding to solve all your vehicle needs while putting your mind at ease.
Experience the Ogilvy difference.
It's worth the drive.
Hello and welcome back to the Bracket Life broadcast. Brandon here, as well as always, my excellent co-host, Andrew Stark. Andrew, how's it going, bud?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Short week going on here, right? So
that's right. Busy. That's right. We're already whipping through that thing. You know, there's only 3 more work days.
Maybe less, depending on if you're going racing this weekend, right?
That's the spirit. I like it. Unfortunately, I am not. Next weekend, though. Next weekend.
Yes.
Try one more time.
I think so.
Absolutely. So there's a lot going on this week. A lot to talk about. Finishing up the year, as everybody knows, right? You can tell when you go out outside in the morning, it's starting a little chilly. My truck had a not very nice time starting this morning. So we're getting down to the end of it. To start out and lead off the conversation, unfortunately, it's not a way we want to start with. Not something we've had to deal with yet during the broadcast. So, it is what it is. Tough spot to be in, but we do have to take a moment, want to both take a moment, remember Dennis Black, do a quick talk about him. I never got to really know Dennis personally. We raced together for years, right? He watched me grow up at the racetrack right from afar. So always known of him. Unfortunately, for those that maybe aren't aware, there's an accident 2 weeks ago now, almost at Luskville Dragway while we were there for the Super Tour event. Dennis did lose his life during the accident on the racetrack. Very tough situation for all of us to be in, to be a part of. For myself, since then, the racing community and family for us has really leaned on each other and really come together for support of this, right? We just got back, went to the wake for Dennis in Iron Prior Sunday. They had a service on Monday, closer friends and family mainly. So, but did all that, like I said, lots of communication with each other, reaching out, people that you don't really hear from all the time, sending messages, asking how you're doing. It's really hard for everybody to kind of understand what it was like unless you were there for it. Yeah. And, we talk about racing a lot and the risks and things that come with it. And we all think that we understand what that means when we say it. But until something like this that happens right in front of us, you don't totally understand or know what you're saying when you do say it, or what we are doing getting into race cars. It is a dangerous sport. This is, not the first time it's ever happened in our sport, obviously, right? But, the first time for it to hit so close to home for me in my experience. So it really makes you take a step back, think about what it is we're doing. Andrew, you got to know Dennis a little bit over the years. And then, Charlotte did get to know him as well. So yep. I'll let you talk a little bit about that.
You're absolutely right in the sense that, it's something that we don't talk about a lot in our sport, and thank God we don't get to have to experience very often. We think about the hundreds of thousands of passes, made every year. Dennis was, he was one of those guys that right from the moment I met him, and I met him, he came to one of our race series, the DSE Sportsman Series at Cayuga, and I'd never seen him before in my life. But, people did know him. He showed up with a front engine dragster in a very old school trailer that, was the basically open trailer with like a makeshift roof and sides to it in this old motorhome. And he loved to come race, and he had a surfer vibe to him. He had I don't know how many people ever saw his skateboard. He'd roll around on like a longboard, right? And he's a white-haired guy. He looks about as old as my dad, and the dude looked like, he looked well into his 50s and he acted well into his 20s.
Yeah.
Worldly guy, and I got to know him through the years. He'd come race with us when he was in Toronto because he kind of had that two-home deal where he resided in Toronto. He also resided in the Ottawa area. And he'd race at both tracks. He'd come out and race in the west at St. Thomas or Grand Bend or Cayuga, and he'd go back to the east and race in Luskville. I assume Napierville.
Yep.
you know,
Absolutely.
and so I got to know him a bit there, and we talk, and he loved racing. He would talk about anything. He was one of those guys where he was worldly. When we showed up to Luskville for the race week, he was one of the first guys to come search me out, and just was so happy to see we finally made it out there. We had parked, we were there. He asked us what we were doing because we were spent the week out there. We vacationed for a few days in between the races, and we had a laundry list of places that he told me I have to go to in Ottawa, every spot to go to, every place. He had a list for me and Charlotte and Jess. He had a list for Dad, who was we enjoy steam engines and the agricultural historical stuff, and you got to go to this museum. Dave's going to love this, right? Like, this is a place to go, and we didn't really get to many of those spots, but they're on my list to go to after this, right?
Yeah.
And I guess a little mini story about kind of Dennis, and he really was attached to making sure that youth and kids were a part of the sport, right? And he always entertained them in any manner he could. And so I have a 4-year-old daughter who's at the track, and they're wandering around, and Luskville's got a play center that's at the far side of the track, and my wife and I know how to get there with our eyes closed at Luskville. Now Charlotte's taken us there so many times, and you have to go right by Dennis's trailer. And we've known Dennis on and off. Charlotte, never really met him until obviously our trips to Luskville, to be honest. And they stopped off at his trailer, and he had a postcard. It's Panic Attack Racing, has a picture of the Roadster and the Altered and his cars on it. And it's kind of his hero card. It's a postcard, legitimate postcard, but it's his hero card. And he went to the trailer, grabbed one for Charlotte, and gave it to her, right? And I'm back at the trailer trying to turn 2 cars around, everything else. And they come back, and she says, Dad, look what I've got. Our friend gave us this, right? And it's the postcard. So I said, I'd hold on to it for her, right? And it made it its way into the logbook, right? And for the rest of the weekend, anytime like our buddy Ted would move, there goes our friend, right? And anytime that our buddy Bob, when he's racing with us, there goes our friend Bob. And that weekend, when Dennis would drive his car to the lanes and she'd see it, there goes our friend. And that's Dennis. He was everyone's friend. There wasn't a soul I ever ran into that didn't seem to either know Dennis Black, if you've ever been to a racetrack with him, or that you've had a conversation with him. Even when he was at Cayuga just a couple weeks before this, he was parked in our spot, actually, as funny as this was, because we didn't make the event, probably because we were racing somewhere else. I can't remember now. But he was parked beside a friend of ours, Kenny Grassi. And I read a story for Kenny even, that Kenny's a great guy, been very successful this year. We've talked to him a bit on the show, Top Dragster, and they bonded over martinis. Right. Kenny was a fan of martinis, and evidently Dennis was too. And I remember reading this story shortly after everything that happened with Dennis. And, I just another guy that just met Dennis, and they bonded over something that, you wouldn't think of. And I think everyone seems to have a story like that about him. In that sense, that it's sad because he was one of those guys that he could be friends with anyone, and he was friends with everyone. And whether you knew him or not, you were just simply one conversation away from being his friend, and you being his. And that's the hardest part is we have one less person like that in our world, and one less person like that in our sport, which, is probably the harder hit, in the sense of he was just such a genuine guy. So, I mean, it's a hard loss, and it's so hard because it's so close to home. For many.
Absolutely. I agree. Like I said, about not really knowing him, but the more I do get to learn about Dennis, who he was as a person, very similar kind of mentality, right? Just a guy that just loved going racing and loved other people that loved going racing too, right? And so that's pretty much kind of how my life is surrounded by it. I love it, as much as he did. So really, terrible thing. Dennis will always be remembered. always be missed. Definitely has left his mark on the racing community in more ways than, from the outside eye, you would think, from these little stories. I read that story when you posted it on Facebook. Way better in person when you talk about it. So glad we got to do that. Yeah. Rest in peace to Dennis, and we will, think about him carrying on.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
hard to move on from there. It's a difficult
that's right.
transition.
It is.
But maybe we should roll back through. We got today's sponsor. So this one you're really good at. You should know this one off by heart by now, right?
I am pretty good at it, yes. This week's episode is presented by Ogilvy's Auto and Fleet Service, distributor for all racing components anywhere in Canada. You want anything, send a message over to me, send a message to Ogilvy's. Rachel usually is who answers on the social media stuff. Give a call, talk to Vicky, Jackie, Bridget. You can ask for Mike. Sometimes he'll pick up, sometimes he won't. Canadian dealer for FTI Performance Transmission Parts and Converters, K&R Performance Engineering, Jones Transmission Pumps, NRC Components Rims. Some awesome looking stuff. We've talked about it a lot on the show. The way it can change the way your car looks. The RC rims, Rock, Baudouin.
Yep.
Perfect example.
Oh yeah.
Right for that. So thank you to Ogilvy's Auto and Fleet. Like I said, any information you need, parts, prices, info, just shoot me a message and we can get you all set up. So we're rolled now through the Canadian countdown. Andrew, when I started this, I wasn't sure really how much we had to talk about for Canadian drag racing right now, right? But we got it there.
Yeah, there's a list, right? There was a lot going on through September in the last few weeks. So I said I was going to circle back on this one from the last episode. There was some final events, RCSS. So we're going back to like September 17th, 18th. A little while ago now, but again, don't want to miss out on this because it was their final race. So their final points weekend, they lost the Sunday, unfortunately. So champions, I think they got into round 1 or 2, but they had some Saturday winners. Some neat stories that came out of that one. So we'll start off with Saturday Super Pro. Bob Richards. We've talked about Bob. There's the theme, I think, at the end of this year is going to be the guys that we talk about a lot, right? The guys who get on rolls throughout a year, right? Bob Richards would be one of those guys. He took the win in Super Pro on Saturday over Dave Shumaturski. I always struggle with Dave's name. It's a tough one. Funny deal on that one was Dave rolls the car out of the trailer after a few years away. He had a hot rod car, ran a lot of IHRA 1090 TNT Super Series, and evidently has not forgot how to make this car work because day number 1 rolls it into a final round against Bob, just runs up against Bob. Mod ET final, another neat one. So Spencer Nightingale beats his boss, Mike Sucrovani. That's got to be a tough Monday. I don't know how that one
gotta be,
right. So Spencer, both driving trucks. Mike's in like a pro stock style truck. Spencer in the like not S10. It's not an S10, but it's that steel truck, stock looking piece, right? Foot brake, I think, too, of all setups. So a good foot brake versus trans brake final. But Spencer picking up the win. Street, Tyler Side over Brad Frazier. Junior Dragster Concy, Reese Hamilton, who we'll talk about later, go about the IHRA. They're one of the teams heading south over Aaron Pignol. Quick Sportsman, Claude Lozier, forever the ribbit.
Yes, that green
Charger.
Yeah.
Still picking up W's. Taking the win over Rob McCallum. Foot brake was Alan Shaw over. Actually, I don't have who that was over. I just have Alan Shaw as the winner. Junior Dragster main event, Maya James. And then Superbike and Sled, Mike Konopacki over Todd Hope. Those two have been beating on each other all year long. Two fantastic bike racers. So we'll recap points as we get into episodes as we go down. A lot of points implications on that Saturday, but we'll explain all that as we get into the points side of things moving forward. But great to see it. Good turnout again. They did have an Ironman race. It was a King of the Hill style race. So the overall winner on that was Bob Richards, picking up another Wally. I think Bob had won one earlier this year. If not, I know he's got a few. This is all in a new car too. He just put together a Camaro, like a '68 Camaro, most sleek looking, unthought provoking car in the sense of like, this is a mod ET Super Pro killer, and it looks like a street ET car with some slicks on it.
I like
So
it.
it's an absolute weapon without looking like a weapon. But
Yeah.
that is our TMP results from earlier in September. I guess we'll go to the Super Tour and then go to the bracket finals?
Yes, that sounds
Okay.
good to me.
Okay.
We did roll in October 1st. We did get to, was the Friday, I think.
Mhm.
I got my
believe that's
first
correct.
chance. So Travis did fly in. We talked a little bit about him coming out. So that was awesome. Great to have him come out, hang out. Right, he stayed in Gatineau. We picked him up on the side of the road. He walked down to a bus stop so we could get him easier in the truck.
Is this off the 148 route?
Yep, exactly. Once you cross the bridge and you make that first right, he was on the first bus stop on the right side with his bags and everything ready to go. So I pulled to the side with the motorhome. Rachel opened the back door. He jumped in and we carried on. So
Perfect.
that's how we
Couldn't plan
picked him
that.
up. Exactly. So we had a great time. Great hanging out with them. And then it worked out really nice. The Friday night they did a practice tour race.
Mhm.
So we go down and then everybody in one central location. So then you got to meet everybody and hang out as well. So that was my first chance to make money. I did a little bit, could have been better. They had $1,000 to win race. I did lose in the final to Mike Hickey. Dozer did wear me out. I was rolling and then, just fell out of the car.
You hit a stone wall, right? Like
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Saturday for myself went much the same as the practice tree race. Went out, had an awesome day, was killing through it, and then 3 cars left. I just fell out of the car. Robbie Martel beat me with 3 left. He did go on to win over our boy Max Goche. Maxie was on it as well. He had a chance. Max comes up. He was 10 or 11 and one above. I want to say he's like 21 total, maybe. Somebody might know. Robbie Martel was 7 total, 4 dead 3. Or he might have been 10. 6 dead 4. That's what it is. It's all coming back to me,
Just a lap.
Exactly. Laid one out. And then Larry Lepin, we've talked about Larry a bunch of times this year. He won semi-pro, and Annabelle Susi was the win in juniors. So same thing. That sealed up a lot of the deal, or all of the points for the Super Tour and for Lusco points as well. Actually, which wouldn't have counted for that. But so all those points are also sealed up. So that's, like I said, we'll talk about that when we do our full points layout episode coming up. So that's how we did at Luskville for the final event. Tried to have Travis on. We'll talk a little bit about it. We'll do that in 2 weeks. Didn't work out. The traveling man is too busy. That's how it goes.
But flying into somewhere else probably too, right? Getting picked
up on the side
of the road somewhere.
Exactly. But he's easy, right? Like just tell him to meet you on the side of the road, and that's where he'll be. So
I'm pretty sure the story of his weekend was just no luck. Like
none. He didn't, and it's, I don't like saying it. I'm just kidding. It's a little whatever, because I went out and then I got slapped around out there. He came. This poor guy. He didn't win a time trial.
No,
because we have the white tickets to win and yellow tickets to lose. It was just all yellow.
Yeah, I feel terrible because I ran into him in the dragster shootout in my Mustang. So I out there they run dragsters door cars separate, right? So I take my slow Mustang and run it in the door car side, going 16s in that air, right?
Yeah.
So we get Travis on the blind draw in the lanes because I'm dead last and he's running a car that's doubled, so he's last, right?
Yeah.
And boy, you want to talk about helping a guy out? He's 4. I'm 5. I drop to dead 1. He drops to 1 over to just be nothing. And I'm looking at a 5-pack in the car going or 6-pack in the car thinking, yeah, that's how you treat the guy who flew all the way out from Alberta.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you
Felt like
were
a
not
joke.
the only one that treated him that way, but he was
Apparently.
good. He drove well.
Oh, yeah.
He was the one round he lost. He's 20 dead one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
How much?
running in, on the wrong side of it, right?
Like that's
So
racing out there. I mean, it's
yeah,
crazy how competitive it is, right? Like I there was a bunch of runs I made out there where I think I was like 4, 5, or 6, and was still second leaving. Like just
yeah,
like I'm good about this. I'm comfortable, and I look at the ticket and I'm like, I'm behind. Like
yeah.
how am I 6 and behind? But that's what it was like
Yeah.
racing out there all the time.
That's my round one on Saturday was against Robbie Martel. I did have, let go really well. I drove it dead on 6, right? I 006 dead 6 on 12 total. I'm like, man, I thought I was good. He's 5 dead on 5.
See, I think I had the only
What
run against
do you want
him
me
where
to
he
do?
was human, and I still couldn't seal the deal.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
won't talk about what the numbers were, but I had him by a bunch on the tree and rolled down there like an idiot to take obscene amounts in the Mustang. But then again,
yeah.
going 16 to get his 470.
470, yeah.
Oh, I
So
finally caught him when he was human and couldn't do anything with it. Anyway,
yeah,
it was a great weekend
that
for him and
happened.
everyone else.
Absolutely. So Andrew, we'll roll through the team finals. This is the first team final you and I both have missed.
Yes.
There was
So
not a Bracket Life team represented. Not that we would have probably done a whole lot because we haven't yet. But
no,
one year, the Bracket Life team will do good.
Yeah, we the Outlaw team actually was well represented. I give credit where credit's due. I haven't had a lot of luck on the Outlaw team that we always took when we went, but the Ontario bracket finals. So a couple years back when COVID hit, we couldn't go to the bracket finals for the IHRA or NHRA for all the tracks. So we all got together and put together our own bracket finals, and I'm glad to see that it's still going. TMP hosted it. Charlene Lep, Louis Raimondo helped organize it. Grand Bend was there. St. Thomas was there. The Outlaw team was there. And then, am I missing a team? I don't think so there. Anyway.
They were like, there was a lot of teams. I want to say they had like 7 or 8 teams total.
They had, so Grand Bend had 1, St. Thomas with 2, Cayuga with 2, 5, that's 5. So Outlaws. So 7 teams of 25. They had Can-Am stock and super stock was there as well. That's who I was missing. Thinking about who was at that. So we'll get to the bracket finals. So Friday warm-up race. The box, no box combo. Drew Buchner over Mark Menikanen. Battle of 2 great drivers right there. Mark, I believe, is the RCSS mod winner this year, but just consistently great driver. Junior saw Cole Frary over Ben Colavecchia. And then bike sled saw Murray Lonsbury over Jason Stewart. The Saturday's the main event team race. Mod ET saw Joe Moreau over Mark Menikanen. Great final there when I saw the results on it. Super Pro saw Bob Richards. No, sorry, back that up. Super Pro saw Bob Jennings over Mike Newman. Both teammates on Charlene's Angels, who were the TMP, like one of the 2 teams from the TMP RCSS. So 2 teammates duking it out. Junior Dragster, Cole Frary over Brody Brown. Street saw Jeff Talbot over Eddie Adams. Bike sled, Mike Konopacki. So this continuation of all these great racers over Jason Stewart. Sunday saw Alan Shaw and No Box take the win over Doug Townsley. Box was Jamie Champ over Bob Richards. That's where Bob slid in here. And Junior was Aaron Pignol over Ryan Pettit. And Street was Jeff Talbot over Ron Malik. I believe I got that one right. Overall team champions was RCSS team, but Charlene's Angels. The overall standings, I had them here, and I've probably lost them. But it was a close race. I think it was only 1 round between top 2 or first and second. And I'll probably spend more time looking for it than it's worth. But at the end of the day, the Outlaw team did finish 3rd. So shout out to all my Outlaw guys. I'm glad we finally got the team together. I give it to, I think it was Audra's team, the Outlaws, that managed to well represent the Outlaw team. And the Outlaw team is essentially anyone not in points. We came together a few years back and said, well, why don't we give a shot to everyone who didn't chase points to come in and be, a representative. So good job. Thank you, Audra, for picking up that. And putting us into the top 3 podium on that one where I could not. So
Yeah.
great
yeah.
job for those folks. Great weekend. This was all happening while we were in Luskville. So glad to see everyone do well with that and have a great time with it. Looked like it was a real great event.
Absolutely. It was always fun doing it,
Yep.
right? Just something different to go try. And then always nice whenever we got to race, Southern Ontario, west of Toronto. Roll through, we'll head down east now quick. Miramichi Dragway had their final race of the Atlantic Pro Tree Series last Saturday. So the first and second, I'm pretty sure it was.
That same weekend, yeah.
Yes. So they started off, it was chilly. It was
Yeah.
about 4 degrees Celsius there. Results for that one, they started out Super Street 1090. Chad Ramsey over Benny Neaston picked that one up. Chad also was the number 1 qualifier that day. So,
Yeah.
rolling through all right. Rolling through. Started strong, finished strong. Super Comp, Brett Ramsey, father of Chad Ramsey, just so we're clear. The father and son win over Trevor Cowie, and Super Gas, Glenn McLean over Daryl Poole. Sorry, I don't know why I was struggling reading those. No box, Andrew. This is a good one. Savadant. Yeah, that's a good one. Andrew Savadant over Clayton Chamberlain. Box, Brett Ramsey with the double up over Riley Green. Rolled through to Sunday. Super Pro Benny Neaston over Justin Cummins. Pro Warren Catro over Ernest Newcomb. Both of those, like, look at those spellings of those ones. I rolled through that one. Sportsman Carl Lehman, Gus Longafee. I gotta thank Jason McNeil, man, coming through big time on these, because Longafee does not look like Longafee.
It's not coming out the way it looks, right?
It's not coming out the way it looks. Bike sled Glenn Frizzle over Chelsea Brewer. Juniors Jax Goodwin over Kane Hogan. So that's how it was down there. I think they had another race this weekend. I'm sure Jason's going to send me some of that stuff here soon. Yep. I thought I saw something down east, but I'm not sure. Same deal. I'm going to get Jason to send us all, and we're going to talk to everybody down there, figure out all the point stuff. But I love reading them, right? The Ramseys cleaning up last weekend, just, running over everybody. So that's awesome.
I got to admit,
for those guys.
I'm generally jealous of the Super Series stuff. Like, I love 90
exactly,
racing, and I listen to these results, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome, right?
Yeah,
so
I'd love to try it. I can't wait to try it one day.
Yes, it's a blast. Like, there is no greater challenge. There is no funner challenge than trying to make something go 90 with the stop setups and everything else, right? Because it's not easy. There is nothing cut, like, easy about this. It's cutthroat type racing.
Yeah,
boy, is it a blast. I miss it so much. So
absolutely. And then quick before we do move into the World Finals discussion, we did have some Canadians roll south last weekend. Nathan Hoskin, runner-up for 10K at Namibia Dragway. Russ Adams also was down to 5 in that one. They had a chance to make it an all-Canadian final.
Close.
But it was good. That's a good day. And it was chilly there. Like, I saw some of the pictures there. And the one lad that posted, like, there was frost on the windshield of the door car.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they said it warmed up pretty good through the day. And then Sunday, I guess, was pretty warm. But
yeah. I was thinking about going down there this weekend because they run is that October Bucks?
October Bucks,
It's like 3 weekends in a row where it's 10K Saturday for Super Pro, 5K Pro, like bottom bulb trans brake, and then Sundays I think 5 and 3.
5 and 3,
like,
yeah.
It's like every weekend in October. I'm like, this is genius. I'm at that point now where like last weekend I was super excited. I'm like, we're gonna go do this, and now I feel like I'm just wearing a little bit. Like, I kind of need to rein it in a bit. That 8-hour drive home Sunday night is what's, I think, the biggest block at the moment.
Last weekend would have been it, right? Because then Monday doesn't matter.
No, hindsight, that would have been the one. I feel like there's a lot of these races I'm looking at this year where I'm like, next year's schedule is going to be way different based on what I've missed, what I've looked at and went, oh man, that was this weekend. And I'm already taking notes for next year going, okay, Thanksgiving weekend is here, right? Like
Yeah.
that sort of thing. Because there was, but there was even the Bowling Green. I know Jamie Tupper and Laura Shepard went down to the 10 Tuck, right?
Yeah, when they went down and picked up the blower dragster.
Yep, yeah, and a couple other Canadians went down on their way to Holly Springs to the IHRA. Rodney Gomes and Brad Gibbs went down, right, to go race. And I just seen it right here. Ted Dunham was down racing. I can't remember where Ted was now. I just seen him come up on the chat, but he was
correct. He is correct.
Yep.
This is the best time of year to race.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I love it. I said this, and I make a post apparently every September 1st because I made one this year, and then my memories came up that I did pretty well the same thing the year before. I'm just wound up to go racing, like that. The fall racing, just the way it feels, it's thrilling. So I love it.
Yeah. You get that Labor Day run right through till just after Thanksgiving, like we're at now, and there's great races every weekend. There's a little bit of window time involved, right? But you jump in the truck and away you go. You will hit some great events. I mean, they've got the Million coming up after the World Finals, IHRA World Finals next week, right? Like,
I'd love to go. I'd love to be there. But Ted says he was at Killcare. So
that's right.
I haven't been to Killcare yet. So that's something else that you keep writing down every year, that you want to go. There's so much good racing here. It's hard to get away.
Well, that's the thing too, right? Like I look back on it and I'm like, okay, well, you look at this weekend and that weekend, and like, there's a lot of still great races to hit up without leaving, like Ontario, Quebec, right? But we'll put together a schedule next year, I think, that hits up a few more of those events because they're not that far. Like from where I am on my end of Ontario, right? 8 hours puts you into a lot of events pretty quick, but nonetheless.
Exactly.
So I'll hit on one quick one. I don't have all the results for it, but I would be remiss if I didn't. Turkey Nationals, St. Thomas, another one of those cornerstone races at our end of the world. It's kind of the de facto last race, even though I know there's an RCSS event coming up at Cayuga in 2 weeks that we've kind of got circled as the last time we might do burnouts and whatnot. But I don't have all the results because I just kind of had to pick away at who posted winner circles. But Caden Wiki picking up the Friday race that was run on Sunday because Friday didn't happen. Caden doubled up, winning Mod on the Sunday edition of the Turkeys. Chad Grow. I always mess up Chad's name. I feel terrible. Saturday Super Pro winner. Joe Moreau. Joe's put up like 14 consecutive round wins between the bracket finals and Saturday's Mod ET bottom bulb win. Joe is heading to Cayuga this weekend for the Canada Heads Up Series. He's a 650 index racer there. So he's looking to put a string of wins on the board again there. But congrats to Joe. I believe Will Steckley was the quick 16 winner. I do know that Luke Sampson won a junior. I just don't know which day Luke won. And I unfortunately don't have any other results. I know there's winners in other juniors, street, ONDR. I can't find it anywhere that when I went to go find things and there wasn't a posting. So if you're a racetrack, please post winners. I will talk about them. Trust me, I will talk about them. I just got to find them. Make it easy for us to find, please. Anyway, that was the Turkey Nationals. A great time was had by all. There was lots of frost on race cars because I saw people scraping it off on Sunday morning pictures. Wouldn't be the Turkeys if you weren't freezing, having drinks, or scraping ice off a car Sunday morning. So
it's the fun of it, right? It's the fun of it.
That's the thing. Yeah. It's the warm up takes a whole different meaning Saturday or Sunday morning at these races, right? So I think that pretty much covers everything on the results side of things. Events coming up. So we're going to shift gears a bit. We don't often do a huge preview for certain types of events, but there is a gigantic race taking place in Holly Springs, Mississippi this coming weekend, which is the IHRA World Finals. And this kind of snuck under the radar, I feel like, a little bit for me until I started seeing all the pictures of people, Canadians.
Everybody getting ready to roll down and head out. I feel the same way.
Yeah. So what has happened? I guess I'll set the stage and then we can talk about the racers that are going. So IHRA every year holds their World Finals. It is a collection of all the track, Mod ET, Top ET, and sportsman, which can be street, or if your track has like a foot brake or sportsman class, champions. If you win the points at your track and you were in the IHRA Super Series, you get to go to the World Finals. If you don't win the track championship, you qualify for your team finals and you go to the division finals and you win top ET, mod ET, junior, or sportsman. You also get a golden ticket. You get to go down to the World Finals. Because the Canadian contingent has not been able to go down through 2020 and 2021, the Canadian tracks, which being St. Thomas and Grand Bend, made a deal with IHRA that when we did finally get to go down, all those previous year's winners would get to go. So we have winners from 2020, 2021, and then 2022, when we finally were able to go back to a bracket finals and go, who've now sent, and I believe my last count was 17 individual racers that I'm aware of on the road currently heading to Mississippi. And I think there's might be as many as 19 entries, because I know a few of these racers have qualified twice through 2 different classes or multiple years. And at this point, I feel like I need to start hitting on them, because it's an amazing collection, to be honest with you. There is some fantastic stories. So I'll go through this kind of one by one in a sense. So Cole Ferry, who we've mentioned on here, Cole racked up at the bracket finals. He is the only qualifier that I'm aware of who's Canadian who qualified at a U.S. track. He qualified from Lancaster and Buffalo. Cole is on his way down. Brooklyn Notes, daughter of Paul Noakes. Paul's infamous in the top alcohol funny car world, multi-time IHRA winner, multi-time NHRA national event winner, is heading down. Now, here's where it gets great. Paul's stacker is filled with juniors. To my best understanding, Ethan Birch, Brooklyn Noakes, Reese Hamilton, and Arnold Fox, all who are going to represent Canada, are all packed in the stacker, in Paul's stacker, heading down. It is the Uber delivery service of junior dragsters heading down to Mississippi.
Something you would see like going to like the Eastern Conference Finals or something like that, right? But that's a cool.
Exactly. Same thing I thought of.
A junior kid right now for that experience would just be wicked, right?
Just wild, right?
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine how filled this thing is with like golf carts, bikes, juniors, like,
because you could pile a bunch of stuff in there.
Oh yeah.
Right? Could you imagine if you only had to put juniors in your trailer?
Like
how much more stuff you get in there?
I think I could bring a whole race with me, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
You know, there's two stories, and that's Paul's trailer. It's literally outfitted to carry a funny car operation, and you know, he's got it packed. So that's a neat story there. We got all those juniors heading down there. Then, and there's lots of dynamics here, so I thought I'd hit on all of these as best I could. Michelle Henderson and Owen Henderson. So mother and son heading down. Michelle qualified through the sportsman side, and Owen qualified. I think he was the mod ET champion at St. Thomas. They're heading down. 2 trucks, 2 trailers, hauling both their cars down. The Talbot family. Here's where it gets even more dynamic. So Jay Talbot's a mod ET champion. Jeff Talbot, his one son, is a sportsman. I think it was street ET champion. He'll be running a sportsman, I believe. And Brad Talbot, who is also a street/sportsman winner. They're all going down. Jay's hauling his car down in a truck and trailer. Brad is hauling his car down in a truck and trailer. And Jeff is driving his car to Mississippi to run in sportsman. So they've got that fleet heading down there. So that's one father, 2 sons, all going down to run. From there, we run into Rodney Gomes, Brad Gibbs, racing buddies. So they did the 10 tuck, let's go race on our way down. I believe I cornered them. I told them, says, like, if you guys do well down there, are you guys hitting up the $1 million on the way home? And they didn't say no.
Yeah.
And they asked where the $1 million was on the way home. And I says, well, it's right around the corner. Will Steckley heading down. I think Will is one of those guys who's doubled. I believe he won this year, top and mod. And I believe, I might be wrong, that he might be a mod winner from a previous year. I'm not sure how that's going to work. I don't know. I know he's got his mod ET Charger that he takes down. He was driving Brian Brusky's 68 Camaro to win top, I believe. No confirmation on that part, but I believe Will's on his way. Kevin Knight is on his way down from Grand Bend, top ET winner. Rick Atkinson is on his way down, I believe. Dave Cooper, Jordan Crow is on the way down as a junior winner. I said Reese Hamilton, Ethan Birch, Arnold Fox. They're all in the Paul
And
Notes,
the Stacker, yeah,
Uber, yeah, they're all rolling. So to my best understanding, that's everyone's going. I might have missed someone. If I did, let us know. As I said, there's at least 17 entries going to be at the World Finals. That's Canadian in every class. There isn't a class you're going to be able to watch this weekend from down there on Motor Mania that does not have a Canadian in it. The juniors, I've already talked to them about how to go to the lanes and make sure they avoid each other as much as possible. Like, have a plan, pick a
That's
lane
right.
and avoid as best as you can. We need to have as many Canadians not racing each other as possible. The top and
Absolutely.
mod guys and sportsmen, men and women, same thing goes to you. Figure out how to roll into those lanes. Work together a little bit here. We do not need to see a round 1 or 2 matchup with Canadians racing each other
That's right.
needlessly, right?
Yeah. I'm just looking through. I have your Facebook post up, right? I don't know everybody from that area that's going. Michelle Henderson got the post up. Looks like they're sitting in the motorhome, have a few drinks when they were halfway down there. It's good for them. And then, like I said, the pitcher Rodney, he's sitting there in Nashville, soaking up the sun.
Yeah,
So,
the plan
so
trip down.
good for everybody going. And best of luck. I'm excited. I love it. This is stuff when I guess the first time I saw this was when I went to Norwalk and then saw the Super Series stuff. And then because this, like, they used to give away a car, like complete race car at these, I don't know if they still do, but that was the first time I saw it. I'm like, man,
oh yeah,
that would be wicked.
First year I went to it, so when I qualified in 2006 to go down, a little different format that year where you had to win your track, then you had to go down and win the division, and then from there you were one of 8 cars heading down to Rockingham in that year. And I believe the top ET winner got a dragster. I think the mod ET got a 555 from one of the engine builders. It was some pretty mad money on top of like 10 grand. I think there was a trailer involved as well. I think it's still 10 grand to win this year, right?
Seeing the junior that matched the drag, like the Super Pro dragster they gave away, but like that was the first one before juniors were as fancy as they are now. Yep. But like this one had a race pack in it. This one had underglow on it. Like it was ridiculous, right?
Just fantastic stuff, right? Like top end prize, right? And there's
absolutely.
Still huge money. I mean, we've got countless Canadians who've won it. Like Luke Schwimler is a junior champion. Will Steckley has won the IHRA championship in 2 different formats, but he was one of the runoff 8-car winners. Steve Dornbosch has won it, and the format before it was a runoff, back when it was a round count where you had to go like 45-1, right? And Joe Piper just piping in. No pun intended there. That was terrible.
That was a good one.
I did not intend that at all. But Joe mentioning that, Steve had won a boatload. He won actually one of those motors, the 555 motors in the original package. I think a trailer too. Like it's always been a great package through the IHRA, even with the various formats. But like we've had great representation, and it's a big deal, right? So
I feel like from I don't know if it's just my age or where I'm from. Steve Dornbosch and Will Steckley are a bit of a bigger deal than everybody lets on. Like nobody talks about this as much as what it should be talked about, I feel.
Yeah.
There we go. We got a good one here. Kevin Talbot throwing it up there. 20,000 to win, top and mod, 7,000 for sportsman. So that'll do. It's not a brand new, dragster, but that'll do.
That's that world title. There ain't a soul going down there that wouldn't trade, I would say, most of that just for that world Iron Man, right? So it's gonna be a lot of fun. A lot of our Western New York friends heading down, cheering them on too. We've got some buddies out in Western New York that you want to see you get some W's, but not over the Canadians, but some late rounds. But it's a fun race. I loved it when we went. The format now where we have kind of an open sense of multiple track champions. It's not the 8-car format, but I mean, it's still the best of the best. You don't get there unless you turned on a bunch of win lights at your home track, or you went up against all of the best racers at the bracket finals and turned on the final win light in the main event.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's the only way you get to this race. And if that's not in a collection of some top tier talent, like I don't know what is, right? Because we talk about that a lot in the show where we talk about, some real best on best racing, and you see it at some of these big money races, no question. But I mean, like I believe Wes May, like I think he's going to this race because he won. If he didn't, he's been there in the past. But I remember seeing a picture of him at the Division 5 finals, either as a finalist or as a winner. So like some of the best bracket racers in the world that we see at big money races all over the US go to these events, qualify for these events. So it's some real fantastic racing.
Absolutely. I'm excited to hear about it. I'm excited to watch it.
Yep.
We're going to check it out. We'll have it on. We're supposed to do a birthday thing for Rachel on Saturday, but maybe we'll be watching a bit of the World Finals too, right? She won't mind.
Yeah, I haven't given up on going to a racetrack this weekend. There's a small chance I might still load the cars up to go somewhere. But at the very least, there's a computer with a projector and stereo coming to put this on in the background if I do end up somewhere. If at the very least, it'll be on in the shop as I'm trying to figure out whether I'm winterizing or going racing in 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, I hear you.
It's exciting. On top of that, so I don't want this to be cast a shadow upon, but we've got another world championship implication this weekend with another Canadian PDRA finals, world finals. It's Virginia, I believe, right?
I think so. Pretty sure that's what I saw.
I did double check that. I feel so unprepared when I'm talking, and I feel like I prepared before this, but nonetheless, PDRA elite top dragster Kyle Harris has a shot at the world title, and it's a close race. When we're talking about Canadians doing well on big stages, Kyle has done well this year. And when we're looking at the world finals, elite top dragster, you got Steve Furr leading it, Pete Maduri second, 9 points behind, which to my best understanding is essentially just qualifying positions because there's 100 points around. I think you get 16 points for qualifying number 1 point for qualifying 16. So essentially only 9 qualifying spots. Larry Roberts is 18 points behind, and Kyle is 240. So essentially 2.5 rounds. There is 50 points for a world record, and I think you looked it up. It was like
365.
Which
365.6.
365.6, which I know Maduri's gone quick. Kyle, I'm not sure how fast Kyle's gone, but I don't feel like 365 with the weather that they're probably going to see is unrealistic. Ryan O'Connor just chimed in VMP.
Yes, I clicked on it right after we talked, but I just brought it up. But absolutely, we're close.
Yeah, so I mean, it's 2.5 rounds, depending on how qualifying shakes out. Kyle has qualified well, but Steve has power. Peter has power. I don't know Larry Roberts' situation as much as the other ones, but I mean, it's a 5-horse race because Kathy Fisher's even mathematically got a shot at 451 points behind. It's a little bit of that Bob Glidden scenario where it's like you got to reset the world record, win the race, and everyone loses in round 1. But hey, there's a reason.
But it can happen.
It can happen, right? So that should be fun to watch. So I feel like there's the split screen scenario because both the IHRA World Finals happen Saturday. PDRA their race is a Saturday race. Picture in picture is I don't know if is that thing anymore. I know this is like a side conversation.
I feel like it is.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure out how that works on a smart TV, but there's got to be picture in picture, right? So
I would think so. Otherwise, usually TVs are pretty cheap. Like if you just go get another one.
Yeah,
just like a 2-screen situation, Well,
I guess if I don't go racing, right, then just take entry fee money and go buy, put the laptop up. That's got to be the cheaper approach. Just grab the laptop, right?
That's one way to do it, but
I don't.
Not as cool.
Right. So we're just going to spend money needlessly is what we're going to do here, right?
That's right. We're having fun, right?
Fair enough.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So that is what's on tap as far as Canadian contents in regards to World Championships, which is not a
pretty
little
cool.
That's a lot, right?
That's absolutely, and that's pretty cool, right?
Absolutely.
I like hearing about it, right? Like learning about it and seeing what everybody's got going on. You kind of got whenever you go anywhere. I don't know if it's everybody, but you got a little chip on your shoulder, right? Because you're doing it from Canada, and maybe not everybody takes you as serious.
It's a thing. I think there's that depth of conversation. I've been to tracks where I've had people say you're from Canada. I'm like, yeah. They have racing up there. I'm like, yes, we have great racing up there. is this
in
really
between
a conversation?
dodging the Penguins halfway through the summer, but that's how it
Right?
goes. Yeah.
I
But
I'll be flat out honest. I'm pretty sure I was in. How do I make this into script? I was in Kansas as a kid for a race, and I'm pretty sure we had a state trooper pull up beside us when he saw our Ontario plates and ask us why we were in Kansas in the middle of July. Yeah, it was the middle of July because it was a night race. I don't know why. Who schedules an NHRA race in July in Kansas, but someone did. And they, honest to God, were like, I'm pretty sure this guy thinks we live in igloos. Like, I don't
yeah,
want to speak ill of any state official or whatnot, but like this dude was shocked that there was
yeah.
anything close to racing that happened in Canada, let alone that we had the capabilities to get to Kansas. And we won that race. That was actually the fun part about
Oh,
it.
there you
So,
go.
all
There you
right.
go.
So, but
That's right.
anyhow,
Showed 'em.
yeah, that's
Yes,
right. We're
that's
going back
right.
to our igloo with a Wally, right? But
That's it. Exactly. So that's about it for this week, I guess. Depending on how I guess everything goes in the next week and a half, I'll probably see you again here sometime soon at a racetrack. We're planning to go to Cayuga, go to TMP. Frank, when was the last time you did a race there? Like that you promoted a race there?
At TMP, it was 2015. It was the last time that the DSE series ran there. RCSS picked up the ball after that and ran with it in 2016 and on. And they just announced, if I guess we're on subject, they're coming back for their 8th season, 2023. Tim Orser Lift Services coming back on as a sponsor. So that was exciting news. It was yesterday, actually. Now that I think about it, they announced it. So they've got their Spooktacular event, which is a non-points deal. Basically, it's a reason to go racing and trick-or-treating and to not steal your kids' candy Saturday night after they go to bed.
Yeah. You don't have to steal Charlotte's candy, but maybe she'd let me borrow some. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited, like, because last time I was there was at one of your events. So it has to be 8-9 years ago now.
Yeah.
Was the last time I was there. So it'd be cool. It'd be cool to get back, see everybody, see what it's like, see how
Should be a lot of
things
fun.
have changed and how much it stayed the same. But
I got a parking spot for you, right? So there you go.
I'm ready for it. Absolutely. And if all goes well, the Duke will roll with us, and we'll have just a great old time. But all right, guys. Well, thanks very much for your time, for sticking with us. Everybody, keep it up in the chat. Good for the information that we get, especially when we're start talking about the World Finals, stuff like that. It's been fun. We'll do this again in 2 weeks. Hopefully, talking about some Canadian World Champions.
Yes,
would be pretty neat.
That would be cool. World Champions, maybe a million winner. I have a few of those guys who said if they win the world title, they're heading to the million. And I gotta be honest, if I'm on that much of a roll, I am not going to the million, right?
Yeah. So. I hear you. But we'll see what happens. We'll keep up with it. All the cool things that go on. Send us a message. Let us know. Keep us updated with how you are making out. We do our best to keep up with it, but we love talking about everything on here. Everything racing related. Keep sending messages. Keep up with that stuff. Pay attention to all the bracket life stuff. Rachel usually writes me out a long list of things I need to say. What we need. Subscribe. Right? Yeah. Share everything. That's what you just share everything.
Yep.
And then we'll be good. So thank you guys. It's been fun. We'll do this again in 2 weeks and we'll talk to you all then. Thanks again, Andrew.
We'll see you then.
Started the business over 35 years ago. A lot has changed over the years, but one thing still remains the same.
Our passion for fixing cars. With a team of over 12 men and women, they work day in and day out to provide us the best quality service possible.
From light and heavy duty vehicle repairs and maintenance work.
Diagnostics and racing transmissions.
Performance parts and Jeep upgrades.
Automotive detailing.
used car sales,
and towing through our sister company, AC Towing.
Our team has the knowledge and understanding to solve all your vehicle needs while putting your mind at ease.
Experience the Ogilvy difference.
It's worth the drive.